Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. So in the last week or so there's been quite a big announcement on Amazon.com which has kind of snuck under the radar as it wasn't announced on any of the other marketplaces. However, we all need to be aware of this as there's every chance as these changes may end up being rolled out across our global marketplaces such as Amazon UK. So it relates to inventory storage limits and it will be impacting existing sellers and also new sellers. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of this video where we're going to go through the announcement in detail and explain to you exactly what it means. But before we get to that, I just want to share with you a little bit of good news on my own account. My IPI has finally recovered enough that I am back above the threshold. Now many of you that have seen my videos over the past month or two will have seen that my IPI dropped below the threshold for two reasons. One is that Amazon put long delivery dates on all of my FBA products, so I stopped selling, so my sell-through rate dropped off. And then all of a sudden, overnight, Amazon changed the IPI threshold from 350 to 400. So as you can see here, when I was at 387, I was below the threshold, which was the cutoff for that quarter, which means I now have storage limits on my account of 532 cubic feet for this quarter. Now that I'm back above this 400, if I'm still above this 400 as we move into the next quarter, then hopefully I will have unlimited storage again ready for Q4, which would be fantastic. But there's no guarantee that will happen because Amazon may change the IPI again. Who knows what they'll do with that. So although it's nice to share some good news, there is actually some bad news from something that I discovered yesterday off the back of having an inventory performance limit imposed on my account. So yesterday I was creating a shipping plan as I usually would. I haven't actually done one this quarter yet, so I didn't know these restrictions were in place. Now I thought the restrictions only applied to inventory that you had in stock. So if you were above that excess stock limit, then you'd just be charged an additional fee on top of your usual storage fees. However, it is more involved in that. So you can see here, this is the shipment as I was setting it up. I just put one unit and one case in, and as you can see here, it's all green and I was allowed to create this shipment. However, when I actually change this to the correct figures, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move myself over so you can see the error message that pops up. And when you put in the correct shipment, so I was shipping 750 units, so I had 75 cases all containing 10 units each, you then get this error, so your total inventory volume of standard inventory must be below your inventory storage limit in order to create the shipping plan. So I cannot create this shipment despite the fact it is almost 100% certain that by the time this stock arrives from China in front of 6 or 7 weeks, there will definitely be enough inventory available. As you can see here, just with this shipment here of 750 units, I'm only over my cubic footage by around about 22 square feet. Now I'm probably going to sell that through in the next day or two. So this is super frustrating because one, I believe the IPI thresholds that were imposed on me were a bit unfair anyway because Amazon made the changes to put long delivery dates on my stock. Amazon decided to make the changes to increase the IPI threshold. But now I can't even create this new shipment. That is just super frustrating. Now thankfully, like I say, I should sell this through in the next day or two and I can create this shipping plan on maybe Saturday or Sunday and send it over to my supplier. So it's going to work out okay. But if I was sending in a bigger shipment, maybe I had 1,500 units ready to leave my supplier, I'd have to figure out a different plan. Maybe I'd either have to split that shipment and maybe pay my supplier to keep hold of some of it for a bit, or maybe get some of that shipment sent to my house, or maybe find a third-party warehouse to send some of that stock to. So some advice for anyone that is thinking of selling on Amazon. I want you to do two things before you place any order with a supplier. One is try creating a dummy listing in the first place to make sure there are no restrictions on actually creating that product and selling that product on Amazon. And two, try creating a dummy shipment for the quantity you plan to send in. You can find some example fulfillment center addresses anywhere on Google and just pick a random Chinese address to send it from, but make sure you can send that quantity into Amazon. Now this is even more important than it used to be as the recent announcement relates to that, and I'm going to come to that in a moment. Now before I get to the announcement itself, I just say a quick shout out to Ryan. He's one of the guys that I mentor on FBA Elite. He was the one actually brought this to my attention, and this is why you guys are finding out about it. So shout out to Ryan because this information is super important and existing and new sellers are all going to benefit from this. If you aren't a member on FBA Elite already, make sure you head over there. We've got over 1,400 members now with people like myself and Ryan all discussing Amazon FBA. And you can see some of the forums now, we've got hundreds of messages in there and lots of threads going on. So come and take part, it's completely free. Sign up. I'm on the forums pretty much every day doing mentoring, and I also come into the general forums and try and answer questions where I can. So on to the announcement itself. Now this announcement was made on Amazon.com, so I couldn't actually access a news article directly. So this is from the Amazon seller forum. Now there are two parts that you need to be aware of. One is the inventory performance threshold changing. Now at the moment this only applies to US, and this is the same for the next point I'm going to get to. However, there is no reason that this may not come to the UK or other Amazon marketplaces, and you need to be aware of this because if these changes do come over, it is going to have an impact on how you sell on Amazon. So the first thing they've done with Amazon US is they have increased the IPI to 500. So if I was selling on Amazon at the moment, at my 415 threshold, I would still be under that threshold, which means I still have inventory restrictions placed on my account for the next quarter. So there's nothing stopping Amazon changing it in the UK to 500 overnight like they did last time. Hopefully they won't, and my 415 or whatever the score ends up being will be enough to get me unlimited storage for Q4. So be aware that Amazon can change its IPI threshold at any time, so it's always good to be above it as much as you possibly can be. And the next thing, and this is probably the most important thing in this announcement, I'm going to scroll down here so you guys can see it, is they're going to be introducing Icing level quantity limits. So at the moment your IPI threshold applies to your overall limits, to your overall account and the amount of storage you have. They seem to be introducing Icing limits in the US, and I quite expect to see this to come to other countries. So what that means is you may only be able to send a certain amount of a particular product, even if that doesn't go over your overall storage capacity. And Helium 10 did a good article on this, and they tested quite a few different products, and these were the results they found. So for new sellers, they're finding, this is both for existing accounts and new sellers, for new product listings and for dormant listings or listings that are selling slowly, they're finding they're unable to create shipping plans with a unit quantity above 200. So I'd certainly recommend checking this article out, and it's something to be aware of. The last thing you want to do is commit to a new product, order 1,000 units and find out you can only send 200 of them directly to Amazon. So what I'll do is I'll pop a link to this Helium 10 article as I give lots of examples and they use their real world accounts to try different real world scenarios. I'll put a link to this in the comments so you guys can have a read through in your own time. But certainly if you're a new seller or an existing seller on Amazon, the two things you need to be aware of: one is IPI thresholds can change at any time, and two, ASIN level restrictions are being implemented. Even if it's only in the US at the moment, we quite expect these to roll out to other Amazon marketplaces, especially marketplaces where the fulfillment centers are struggling. And I think as we move towards Q4, more and more fulfillment centers will be struggling, so there's every chance then that the IPI thresholds could be altered or the ASIN level restrictions could be implemented. So hopefully you guys have found this video useful. If you did, make sure you scroll down, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to discuss Amazon FBA with myself, Ryan, and over 1,400 other people, make sure you head over to FBAelite.com. It's completely free, and I'll see you guys on the forums.